Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm going to change my coolant reservoir today because it seems to be leaking right down there. I keep having to fill it back up. It's not a tremendous leak, but it's definitely fairly steady. To do that, I'm going to remove these two hoses, this hose. There's a 10 mil here, and there's a 10 mil in the back. And I think I'm going to disconnect here and here so I can kind of swing this bar out of my way, just to make it a little easier to lift that out of there. But first, I need to drain that coolant out. I'm going to use a battery-powered transfer pump for that. And this is just to minimize how much gets dumped on the ground during this process. If this transfer pump will even fit in there, seems to be slightly too big for the hole, unfortunately. That's no good. Who knew that? Okay, well, let me see what I got. I think I have a regular manual extractor somewhere. All right, now we got it running. See if I can get it at an angle where I can see. There we go. Doesn't seem to be staying down in the coolant super well. I get the hose down toward the front hose there. All right, we're gonna have to call that enough. All right, so we got some coolant.
Daddy?
Now let's start the actual disconnect here. Get out of my way. Alright, get that crossbar out of my way. My long extension and the 10 mil. Take these hose clamps, open them up, and try to get them off the hose without breaking the stupid plastic nipple. that I'm sure is brittle after 106,000 miles. I did choose to go with the Dorman Reservoir over the OE because the Dorman was half the price, and the only thing different in the description for the OE was that you would get OE lifespan out of the plastics, which, I don't know, maybe my expectations are too high, but 106,000 miles doesn't seem like great expectations, you know? Try to loosen these up. Maybe I didn't get the clamps far enough down. Yeah, there we go. Much better. Definitely off the plastic. There we go. See if those will come off without breaking that stupid plastic off inside them. And I'm going to set that over them for now, but I'm going to get something to hold those. I'll just use a 1/2 inch to hold those down. It's got enough weight that they're not going anywhere. Slide that coolant bucket out of my way. All right, this one I suspect will dump a little coolant, but done what I can to minimize that. There we go. Try to get far enough off to be off the plastic. I would like for that hose clamp to catch itself, but it doesn't seem to want to. Call that good enough. Give it a little work here. Like I said, it's probably going to drop a little coolant. I'm going to try to keep the hose relatively vertical so it's not so bad. But the reservoir does have some coolant left in it. Okay. Bring that and prop it like right there, and hopefully I can get it to stay. Let's pull these two 10 mils. I think I'll get a magnet to grab those. One from the front, two from the back. This should just lift up out of here. I think it's only got those two attachment points. It does have a little coolant left, so I'm going to drain that. Going back with the Dorman, supposed to be OE fit replacement. Just set it right down in there. Try to line up the bolt holes. One stud in the back. Bolt hole in the front looks a little off. Where am I caught up that that bolt hole looks a little off? There we go. Magnet. Stick it in there, give it a couple turns to get her started, and then pull the magnet off. Same thing on the other side. Get it on that stud, give it a couple turns, get her started until the nut is no longer spinning, but the magnet is. And tighten them down. The one on the back has a metal fastener on it. The one on the front does not. The one on the front's just plastic. So I'm going to go a little easier on the one on the front. Now we're going to reverse order of operations and connect these hoses. I'm I'm gonna get a regular ratchet and do this by hand. Guess I probably should have wiggled the other one to see how much movement the previous one had. This doesn't feel super tight down here, but I'm also going against a plastic piece on the reservoir, so only want to go so tight anyway. I'm gonna call that good. Let's reconnect some hoses. I'll start with the bottom big hose. Snake it under that electrical connector. Drop some fluid on the ground for good measure. Get a hold of that hose clamp and wiggle her back home. Looks good from my house. Your hoses over here are labeled front and rear. I'll start with the rear. It's going to be this guy all the way on. Now if I can get it to open all the way up and get over the plastic inside of there. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. There we go. That's about as big as I can make that. And that looks like original positioning. Rear one on. Front one on. Same procedure. Get it as open as I can and then wiggle it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There we go. Looks like original factory positioning to me. Let's reinstall this cross member thing real quick. There we go. Maybe. Does it seem right to anybody? That seems right to me. So the cross member goes under on all of these. Get her started in all of these positions. And there may be a torque spec for this reservoir, but I can't imagine, because may as well know. On. That one's tight. That one is too. Beautiful. Let's fill her back up with fresh coolant now that we have swapped out our coolant reservoir. Clean looking funnel. Little mixed coolant coming out of the Food Lion distilled water jug. And I'll step around here so I can see when I get to the cold fill line. Didn't think it was going to take that much volume initially, but man, it spreads to the back and just keeps on going, doesn't it? We're right at the line. Let's go a little more for good luck. I'll take that as my cold. Right, and it did come with a new cap, so I'm going to use the new cap rather than the old one, because I've also read that the caps can be your system weak point, but I don't think so on this. It didn't look like I had residue coming out of the top of the cap. It looked like all the drainage was down there at the bottom. But that is how you swap your coolant reservoir. And now realistically, all I need to do is turn it on, run the truck, let it get up to temp, and give her a few squeezes, make sure we got no air bubbles here. Run the heat so it'll suck it into the heater core. But that's it. It is that easy, and it is a looks like 25-ish minutes start to finish repair. If you liked what you're seeing today, please like and subscribe to the video. If you have any questions, I may or may not be able to answer them, but feel free to ask in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.